do you think is the biggest misconception or even like misinformation that people have when it comes to tarot reading?
I think that one of the biggest misconceptions about tarot is that it makes things happen and that it's kind of like a dark magic. It really isn't. Like the tarot deck is literally just it's like a picture book. It's the story of life from birth to death, like, and all the little details in between, and that's what each card symbolizes. So whatever comes out in a tarot reading is not like, it's not making something happen. It's just telling you, okay, if you keep going this way, this is how things will unfold for you.
Or what sort of questions do you ask? Is it like a yes or no, or
It can be a yes or no question. I'm nosy, so I like to like dive in deeper. I'm like, let's find out more about that. But it really depends, and you can ask whatever you want, really. I personally have certain limits and boundaries, just like for my own ethical standards. Like I won't answer certain questions about like if it's like a serious health issue or something like that, because you don't want to, things can change, and you know what, you're not always right. You get messages and you can translate them in the best possible way. If you do have a specific goal, I would say rather than ask when it's going to happen, is more like, how can you make it happen? What do you need to do to get there? Like, what are the steps you need to take? It's funny because most people don't think to ask that, but it's so obvious the way. I never thought to ask that either before I started doing tarot. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so obvious. Like all the answers are right here. Like you just need to check off the list. It's so you don't have to like leave it up to the universe. You can do something about it. People like to spy on relationships a lot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a useful thing about tarot too. If you're like suspicious about something and you want to find out a little more, you could definitely do that. So I'm not condoning this behavior, but
disclaimer, just a small disclaimer.
Yeah.
So how do you know that you're going to someone legit as opposed to, do you remember the movie Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg? She was like, you're in trouble, girl, How do you know that you're going to someone that knows what they're talking about as opposed to someone like the role that she played in that movie, where at first she was just saying anything to anyone to make a quick buck?
I will definitely say there are a lot of people that aren't legit, and it's kind of really sad, and it sucks for people who do real readings, because it's like, just put the effort in. Like if you're gonna put all the effort into faking it, you might as well actually learn it, But for me, it's very obvious now. It's harder to tell. Like the people that are scam artists tend to really tell you everything they can that's gonna make you leave feeling like good, like, and make you leave wanting to come back. So either I think like the top way to tell if someone's scamming you is that they try to sell you. Like they try to be like, sell you it's almost like a package, like, oh, you have a blockage, I can remove it for you with like candle, I'll do this, that, and the other thing. It's only like and it's always like $300 or $500, something crazy that you're like, what? Like to light a candle? Like, are you serious? You can go, there's a place called House of Intuition out here. They're like opening all over, but they have these candles and they tell you like, okay, if you want to like attract money, you can light this candle. If you want to attract this, like this candle. Like you can literally go to the store for like $15, get these candles and do it yourself. Like you don't need a psychic to do it. And it honestly, like these candles, I've seen things happen. Like I have
good
seen
or bad.
some shit. Like and it's not like, and people tend to romanticize it into like a movie scene, like where all of a sudden like things are swirling and things. It doesn't really happen. It unfolds like regular life things. but you're like, oh my God, like this is what I was trying to, like, when people hear vision, it's like they think that this like really crazy thing is happening. It's like, no,
Yeah,
it's very,
they think like
very regular.
the Raven Simone,
Yeah, like, oh, like you stopped it. You're
or
like,
even like the Charmed.
exactly. Like, it's not quite like that exciting.
So how do you think that you're able to mesh kind of those two worlds and be both? Like, you can practice your Christianity or whatever it is, as well as read your tarot cards without them negating each other or it being a bad thing.
It's definitely a modern concept, because for a very long time, like you can't do, but it's like, oh no, bruja. No, like my mom still hates that word, and she gets mad whenever like I'm referred to as a bruja, or like if I say it, like she has a very bad connotation. Like, so I think it is a very like traditional old school mentality in terms of that, like you're not really supposed to do tarot or fortune telling or like anything in that realm. She was like, getting nervous about it. She's like, she's like,
Very
oh,
suspicious.
my dad thought it was funny, and he would buy me like little witchcraft books, like, yeah. And my mom was like, I can't believe you would buy that. Like, they get into a fight about it.
Yeah.
And it took her some time to really get okay with the idea. And I think that once I explained to her really like what it was and how readings work, and I had to really go through a lot with her for her to finally come to a place of peace with it, and feel like I wasn't doing anything
bad,
putting my soul in jeopardy.
Right. For those that have never gotten one or are interested in getting one for the first time, like what should you expect?
Some readers will do like a meditation beforehand, or they'll have you shuffle the cards, or they do it themselves. It depends on the reader for sure. But it's basically, you'll come in, how I work is you come in and you can ask whatever questions you want. So if you have any specific questions, you're free to ask whatever you'd like. And then I kind of take it from there. Some people come in, they're like, I don't really have a specific question. Like, just tell me something, like, what do I need to know? So I'm like, okay, I'll start off, we'll do general. And then if you have any questions off of what comes out from there, we'll move out from there. But overall, it's kind of like, there's nothing to be nervous about. Nothing crazy happens. Like, you just come in, you sit down, like, what do you need? What's on your mind?
From what they've seen, like on TV or in movies or whatever, you have like the tarot reader pulling out the cards, and then you get like that death card. And then, yeah.
Actually, the death card is not a bad card.
So why not?
The death card is not necessarily about like the ending of a physical life. It's more about the ending of something and the beginning of something else. So it's like, in order to start any new chapter in your life, something has to end, something has to go. So it's more about that. Like, it could be about moving, or like ending a job and then moving into a new one. It's more about those types of things. It's very rarely, if ever, like about like you're gonna die. Like, kind of stuff doesn't really even come up. I don't think that I've ever experienced something like that coming out in a reading, even though someone asked me once about something, but I wouldn't read it for her because I was
Wait, did they ask like how long they had to live or something like that?
They asked me about a family member, and I was like, I'm like, there's no right answer here. First of all, no matter what I tell you, like, there's no good outcome here. So like, that's not something that I'll touch yet. I can't be like yes or no, like, or like say goodbye. Like, I'm not going there. I'm sorry.
Are preparing those wills.
You're gonna have to sign legal documents first.
I remember I had someone that was just learning the cards. He pulled a card, and when I asked him what that meant, he was like, I don't know, what does it mean to you? And I'm like, I don't know, like, you pulled the card, like, what you tell me. So when you pull cards, like, do you interpret them, or is it up to the person to interpret them?
I know some people that do like, they kind of play around with tarot, but they're not tarot readers. So when they go get readings, they try to read it. Like when the tarot reader comes out, I'm like, it's not going to be what you think it is, because every card that comes out is for that reader to read it that specific way, because you're going to read it a completely different way. If you tried to read the same reading, like you would have a completely different interpretation of what it is, because the cards don't mean the same thing. So like you're pulling, like the reason you get certain cards is so it's like telling you like this is what the situation is. If that makes sense.
So tell me what the difference is between like tarot cards and angel cards and all these different types of cards.
So basically there's tarot and oracle cards are the two like biggest ones. Tarot cards are kind of just more integral, very detailed. There's typically no messages on them. Oracle cards are more like if for specific messages. So they're really great if you're not like trying to learn how to do tarot, but you want to kind of do little like fun pulls or anything for yourself and get messages. Oracle cards are a great alternative for you because they have the message right there. You don't really have to do anything. It's telling you blanket statement like this is this, that's that. Like our readers use it as an add-on, like they'll do readings and they pull oracle cards as like validations for what they just read. So it's like
so a combination of both. Exactly. You see something that happens, you're like, oh, I have to pull out the card. What's gonna happen?
So you do things like that. It is really tempting. I think when I first started doing them and really getting into it, I pulled on everything all the time. Like I wanted to know everything. Like when coronavirus started, I had a lot of people asking me like, what do you see? And like, when is this gonna end? What's happening in the next few months and stuff like that. And I do get time, like people want timelines on things a lot. And the thing with timelines, so like I've definitely had a lot of experiences where pulling timelines have been accurate, but timing is very tricky when it comes to tarots, and it's not super reliable. And we want to know, is it gonna happen now, tomorrow, next week, like. And to a degree, you know, you could try to pull the timing, but it's not gonna be 100%.
What made you start your LA Tarot Scope?
I wanted to develop Terrascope, and I just wasn't really sure the direction I wanted to go yet. And then coronavirus hit, and so I started losing, you know, as we all did, a lot of work, and I was like, well, I might as well start Terrascope LA now. Like, what better time? So I figured, you know, just put it out there, and people really liked it. People were like, I look at it every week. You know, it's so great. It's so interesting.
You do them according to your sign, your astrological sign. Why? What's the connection with that one?
So that actually came about because when I first, when I was pitching the idea of Terrascope to him, I noticed that they didn't have a horoscope section. And I was like, well, I'm not an astrologist. But I read tarot, and I was like, maybe I can do a tarot scope. Like, so my idea was kind of like base tarot reading off of like divided by by zodiac signs. So like just bringing it down that way. And apparently that it was kind of it wasn't really like a thing when I thought that I invented it, but then it kind of blew up after that. Like it just started getting really like becoming really popular because people are familiar and comfortable more so with astrology, I think.
Right.
Like, there's a horoscope section in every magazine, every newspaper, like the news, you know, it's everywhere. So people are comfortable with it and they know it. So when they see that, I think like that also has kind of helped ease people into like the transition of like taking that step into tarot.
Everyone, where they can find you or get a reading and all that good stuff.
You can find me on Instagram at Terrascope. I have a YouTube channel called Terrascope LA and a website, terrascope.la. So you can check any of those out. I'm on all of them, have readings everywhere. And you can always message me directly if you would like a personal reading as well.
Or even message me and I could just be that plug. All right, well, thank you so much, Jackie, for being the very first person here on What You Doing, and now I know what you doing. So Thank you so much. This was so much fun, and I'm so glad that I got to share my very first episode with you.
You too.
So thank you, and see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.